Welcome, everyone. My name is Emily Baker, and again, we're here today to talk about how to convert sellers now, which there's a huge opportunity. So, why don't you put in the chat where you are joining us from, city and state? And while you do that, we'll tell you a little bit about us. Aaron, why don't you kick us off? Tell us about who you are.
Yeah, well, as always, anything we talk about today, of course, we're going to comply with do not call TCPA, right? Jason Abrams would be proud. There we go. So, Emily, I'm here in San Diego, California. I've been selling real estate for 21 years, been coaching for just over 10 years. During that time, I was working on a top producing team, averaging taking 25 listings a month. And so I think the key part of that is anything that we share with you guys today, Emily, this is not theory. This is not, hey, this would be a good idea. This is stuff that we've learned from the trenches, doing the drill day in and day out, over thousands of listings sold between us. Agreed?
Yeah. Absolutely. And so Aaron's from California and I'm from Missouri. So if you've seen the show The Ozarks, I live in Ozark, Missouri. It is like the show except without the cartel, right? So I have been in real estate since 2013 and I was also on a team I started in lead generation specifically for listings. I have generated well over 1,000 listings through prospecting. All of our listing agents, my top year was 276 listings signed. And every single one of our listing agents that I trained from there sold over 100 houses their first year out the get go and so forth. So listings are our jam. We love listings. We also love this market. This is the time, y'all, where you can go take your unfair share. This is the time where skills matter, right? And that's really what we're going to talk about today. What are the skills needed in order to convert sellers to closings, right? And that starts with a great listing consultation that converts.
Yeah, because right now in this market, a lot of you guys, now there's a couple markets still that haven't quite shifted, maybe in the Northeast, Albany, Rochester. But for most of us, there's nothing more painful, Emily, than going out, doing the lead gen, taking listings, right? And then they're not selling. So when we talk about listing consultations that convert, what we also know is that the competition, right, for agents that are struggling is fierce. Would you agree?
Yes.
And so when we talk about a listing consultation that converts, what are we doing to make ourselves stand apart such that not only we're winning the listing, but we're setting the right expectations?
Yeah, 100%. So the first thing that I believe is the most important is education, right? Being the economist of choice, knowing the market, right? Our clients hear, news outlets, right? They're hearing the national the information that's going out there. So we break it down into macro market, which is national data trends, to then local market, which is your board, right? Your MLS, to then micro, which is their specific area, right? Whether that's county, whether that is a neighborhood, a zip code, a school district, however y'all decide based on geographically your locations, right? So it's educating because one of the things that we hear a lot from sellers, I'm hearing this a lot from my sphere right now, is how's the market? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see. Oh, I hear interest rates are going to go down, right? I'm going to wait and see. Well, guess what? Last year around this time is when the Fed said that they were going to do six-ish drops in 2025. Did that happen? No or no? Right? So who knows, right? None of us have a crystal ball. I wish we did. We'd all make so much more money, right? However, what we do have is we have the facts. And motivation moves and facts trump feelings. And what your clients really need right now is perspective, right? They need to know what is happening in the market. How can you prove to me? You talk to any real estate agent, Aaron, wouldn't you agree that every time, every day is the best time to sell your home?
Yeah, and yet, you talked about the macro market and you talked about the micro market, right? And one of the biggest challenges we're having on listing consultations, of course, it's sellers that are wanting to be too aggressive with price.
That's right.
And when you're tracking that micro market and you can walk into a listing presentation and share with that seller, right, the fact that inventory is up, the number of days on market is up, price reductions are up, back on markets are up and expireds are up. That's sobering to be able to have that information at your fingertips and educate the seller about what's happening in that market. Now, at the same time, we can't just come in doom and gloom, can we? Because the other thing that, of course, on that micro market that we're tracking are deals going under contract every month. And the cool thing about all your markets, even though they're shifting, Emily, are deals going under contract every month?
Yes.
That's the good news, right? That's the good news. But being able to have that conversation right there has now put us in position, A1 of being the economist of choice and setting the expectations around what's really happening here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. So the key is knowing your numbers, knowing how to articulate. One of the things, Aaron, I always appreciate about Gary is he consistently shares authorship as ownership, right? When someone authors something, they own it. And a lot of times what we're hearing, and Aaron and I just led a mastermind with some phenomenal listing agents at Mega Agent Camp. And we had about almost 100 agents in that room. And one of the things that we consistently heard was, well, my seller thinks that they know more than my seller wants to do this, or they're trying to bully in the conversation of they want 2021 pricing in the year of 2025, right? Y'all experience that?
Yep.
When you present them with the numbers and you ask great questions, the numbers don't lie, right? When you show them that those numbers are up, you say, what's happening here? Right? Or what market are we in, right? Based on month supply. Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? Or are we in a balanced market? There are still markets that are in sellers markets where the agents feel as though it's not a seller's market, right? And yet it is. Even a
Yep.
balanced market. Is a balanced market better than a buyer's market when you're in the position of selling your home? Yes. And them saying that, right, drives that urgency. And then next, Aaron, if we'll go to the next slide,
What,
please.
can I just one last point before we move on?
Yes.
At the end of the day on a listing appointment, we're there to help them make a decision, correct? And if we're showing up and just presenting information without helping them make a decision to choose us, we've done that seller a disservice. And now nobody on this Zoom is having this challenge, but we've seen a lot of agents fall into that trap of showing up and presenting information without helping that seller make a decision. And so the last key point to share before we move on listing consultations that convert is, do you have a system to help them make a decision? Some people call it closing, some people, you call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, they want to know, why should I choose you and why should I choose you now? And that's part of what we go deep in, is having that systematized. So it's not like, let's cross our fingers and hope they liked us, but it's, here's the system to help them choose you. That's why we're there.
Exactly right.
All right.
All right, price it right strategies and expectations. So going back to, sellers, having a lot of emotional energy around price, right? And one of the things that is very fascinating in conversations is so many sellers, Aaron, they feel as though they're losing when they're actually winning.
What do you mean by
What,
that?
what I mean by that specifically is, look at the amount of appreciation that they've gained over the last 5 years. If we were to meet, and sometimes it's really important to remind them that they made a good decision, right? As an example, saying, hey, the good news is you made a great investment. You bought your home in 2019 for blank, or in 22 at blank. Here's the good news. Unlike a lot of sellers right now, you're gaining versus losing. You're not having to bring money to closing, right? You made a great investment. Real estate's all about timing. It's, again, giving them perspective. And they need that right now. And sometimes the numbers, the math doesn't math, right? And there's nothing that you can do, right? In that regard. Because again, real estate is a timing game, right? However, there are 4 things that we look for in pricing Aaron, when we set expectations with a seller that we are looking to see in the first 2 weeks on the market. So why don't you walk us through what those four things are?
Yeah, because the key thing with these four metrics that we're going to go through is that the mistake that we're seeing out there is agents are owning the price, right? They're owning the price, which then makes it very hard to come back and get a price adjustment because it's a very, number one, it's painful for us to show up and say we were wrong. And then number two, the seller's going to point to you and say, yeah, but you said we could get this price. So one of the key things we have to understand and why these metrics are so powerful, because we don't own the market. We don't own the price. We interpret it. So the good news is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we know what we do on the marketing side works. The only thing we're testing when we put a home on the market is the price. And the cool thing is, there's four metrics we're looking for in those first 2 weeks for the market to tell us we're priced right or not. And those four metrics, and you'll want to write these down. Number one, 3 to 5 showings per week. And Emily, this isn't open house activity. This is 3 to 5 agents bringing their buyers by per week. Number two, buyers coming back for second looks. You know how it is. Right now that we're out of that crazy COVID market, there's time. They come, they see it, and now they bring their kids back. They bring their friends back, their parents, whatever. The point is they come back for a second look, and that's a positive sign. The third metric, positive feedback from the agents and their clients. And lastly, the fourth metric we're looking for is offers or talk of offers. So when we're seeing those four metrics, the market's telling us we're in good shape. We're priced where we need to be. Emily, if we're not seeing those four metrics, let's say we're seeing good activity, but no second looks, mixed feedback, no offers, we're off by what percentage?
5.
The market's telling us we're off by at least 5%. If it's crickets, we see nothing. It's just silent as all get out. And I count one showing as crickets, right? The market's telling us we're off by what percentage?
10.
Guys, this is a scientific formula. This is based off of not just our personal lived experience, this is based off of decades of research from NAR. Now, the way that NAR says it is 2 weeks or 10 showings. All we're doing is putting a little bit more meat on the bone such that it's a little bit better or easier for the sellers to digest. But what this system does, Emily, is it, number one, we don't own the price, we don't own the market, we're simply interpreting it. And we're now making it crystal clear for the seller to also be able to interpret it the same as we do. We've given them metrics, it's black and white. So we're removing any of the I think, I feel, maybe we should try this. No, it's black and white. There's four metrics, and based on those metrics, there's a certain percentage that we need to adjust by. That's the feedback from the market.
Yep. The
That's
market
the
responded.
system. Yeah. Isn't that more humane than just, trying to own it and then, I think I feel?
Yeah.
That just frustrates the sellers. This is a clear scientific formula that works.
That's right. Well, because when we say things like, I think we could get this, or I think you should price it at this, or I feel like the market's telling us blank, right? Then it puts it with me versus you, right? It's me versus the sellers and their perception. And what we want to do is have we're a team, right? They're hiring you. We are partners in this. It's us against the market.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean like magically they click their heels and agree.
No.
Yeah, again, I mean, we still have to work them through emotions. Let's be real. I don't want to, be, rose-colored glasses on this whole thing. However, at least we're working now from a system that's clear, like you say, Brene Brown, clear as kind.
Yeah.
It's clear and it's the market telling us. We're delivering the feedback, but we have a system. We're not guessing. So I would say, I mean, we still have 15 minutes of great stuff, don't get me wrong. But if you listen to nothing else, Emily, but you just took this one piece, life would be easy.
Yeah.
Your listings will love you.
After the first week, they know,
Mhm.
right? You set that expectation. It's, hey, we didn't get our 3 to 5 showings. We didn't get second looks, right? They already know what's coming when you set the expectation, right? So, all
Yeah.
right. And then this is a big one. Competition's fierce, right? Overcoming objections.
Which objections? All of them. One of the biggest challenges, Emily, I'm seeing out there on the objection side with our sellers that we need to get really good at with agents being, consultative to our sellers. Sellers have knee-jerk reactions. They're under a lot of stress. They're under a lot of pressure. I forget which speaker was talking about it at Mega Camp, but sellers will choose the path of least resistance, even if it's not the best path for them, right? Unless we're there to give them perspective. So when things aren't going the right way for a seller, oftentimes the knee-jerk reaction, oh, we'll just take it off the market. We'll just rent it. I'm seeing that a lot. Are you hearing that too,
Yeah.
Emily?
Yes.
Yeah. I think one thing that I'm excited about for the market we're in is technology is not going to take our jobs, right? I've yet to see technology be able to have this conversation effectively with a seller out there. One thing that we have to remember is that our job as great listing agents is to give that seller a different perspective. And so when we have that objection, which is, well, if we can't get our price, then, we'll throw our hands in the air and do something different. That's where our job begins. Really? Okay. Tell me more about that. Because Emily, if that seller doesn't sell to do whatever it is they said they were doing, there's what we call an opportunity cost to keeping the property, correct?
Yep.
And guys, that opportunity cost is either financial, it's either emotional, or it's physical. There's a cost to them not selling. They're only looking at the first piece of it, which is getting the home sold. They quickly forget why they're doing it and what it will cost them if they don't. And we have to do a better job as agents of bringing that perspective to them and reminding them not just of why they're doing it, but what the cost is if they choose not to. Otherwise, they're just going to take the path of least resistance, throw their hands in the air, take it off the market or rent it or do something they don't really want to do. And in 3 months be bummed, right, that they didn't do what they wanted to do.
Right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, when we're leading with the market facts, when we're leading with the numbers, history does tend to repeat itself, right? And the question that I think we need to be asking the sellers that sometimes we shy away from is, can you hold on to it for another 5 to 7 years?
Can you keep walking up and down these stairs for another 5 to 7 years?
That's right.
Can you
Whatever the
keep can you keep commuting an hour and 15 minutes each way to work for another 5 years, meanwhile missing out on, life's precious moments?
And if you rent it, do you want to be a landlord for the next 5 to 7 years?
Paying for someone else to live in your property, most likely. These are the things they're not thinking about, right, Emily?
Yeah.
As we have those stubborn sellers, they're not thinking about the cost. Okay, fine, I'll rent it. Well, let's do the math on that. Oh, see, it loves to do that.
You're
Let's,
doing great.
yeah, let's do the math on that, right? Or reminding them of the fact that they're going to miss out on life's moments. Not in a way where we're creating an adversary, but reminding them. They just need to be reminded. And this is the hard conversations that we as listing agents get to have that technology can't take away from us. Trust me, I'm asking her. I don't know. My ChatGPT has a female. She's a she to me. I don't know. She speaks to me in a female voice. I don't know what I picked. I tried. I tried talking her through this stuff. Not as effective. Not as effective.
Yep. Absolutely.
And what about a
Financial,
list?
physical, emotional.
Yeah. What about a listing launch plan?
Yeah. So that's the other thing. As inventory increases, what does that mean? It means that there's more competition, right? There's more inventory, active competition for buyers who are shopping, right? Where in the past, maybe one, two, three properties would have been a comparable, right? Active on the market, or there was nothing on the market there for a hot minute, right? Now there's more options. How we strategically set our listings up matters. From a double siding perspective, from a lead perspective, how are we leveraging our listings to go list another property in the next 3 weeks? Because per the National Association of Realtors, a property in a mile radius in a 3 week period is going to hit. How are we the only option, not an option?
Well, and I think more importantly, if we want to use the hot button of the day, right? How are we using AI to enhance our launch plan to give our sellers a competitive edge? And how are you putting that into the conversation with the seller? Because I don't know if you guys listened to the MREA podcast. It was probably number 89. I forget which number it was. Do you guys remember a few weeks ago when Jason Abrams interviewed the CEO of Section who talked about AI? And he said if two agents showed up at his house and one talked about how they were using AI to be more effective and one didn't, he's hiring the one using AI all day long because he said AI adds 30 points to your IQ. And the only way mine can go is up. I'm not very smart. However, the cool thing is we're all already using it. We just haven't taken it. We've been hiding it behind the curtain. I mean, when was the last time one of you actually wrote the MLS remarks? Come on, be honest, right? When was the last time you actually took your own photos and edited them yourself? We're already using AI, yet instead of hiding it behind the curtain, why not bring it to the forefront and actually be proud of the fact that we are using AI to enhance the remarks to make it more SEO friendly? The fact that we're using AI to enhance the photos such that they're now scroll stopping, right? The fact that we're using AI to enhance our digital marketing to make sure out there in social media, that listing is showing up in front of the people that are looking for something like that. It's already happening automatically, whether we're doing it or our vendors, but are we taking that language and incorporating it as part of our value proposition so the seller's like, wow, no one else showed up and talked about that. Maybe they talked about the remarks and the photos, but they didn't talk about it being AI enhanced such that it's giving me a competitive edge. That's part of the listing launch plan, right, Emily?
Yep, that's exactly right. Marketing matters, especially when you have more options. How do we differentiate ourselves from the competition? Through condition, through proactiveness, whether that's again presentation, also through specific marketing, that it does matter.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys, you remember the days when you didn't have to communicate with the seller because there was no like throughout the listing? You remember when you like put it on the market on Thursday and then by Monday it was already under contract and you didn't have to babysit it week after week? Those were the days, Emily. No, I'm just kidding. This is the market we want to be in. But what are we talking about on seller communication?
Yeah. So one of the things that we get asked is, well, what do we say? Right? What is there to talk about? Right? There is nothing. Nothing's happening. My listing's not selling. They're frustrated, right? Or or they need an adjustment. They don't want to make an adjustment, right? So it feels like I'm just arguing with them. So seller communication throughout the listing is so important because if they're not hearing from you, what's happening?
They're making up things about what you're doing, or more likely not doing, such that when they then hear from you, they're upset and angry, and you got to now walk them back from the cliff, which is exhausting, to then share with them what it is you're going to share with them, which then they're not going to have a positive reaction to, which then you have to walk them back from the cliff again. I mean, come on, that's exhausting. If we have great communication and we're communicating with that listing every day for the first 30 days, Emily. When we call them, right, or when one of those communications is information we need to share on the metrics, which, maybe not might not be great about price, they're more likely to be receptive. versus adversarial because they've been wondering what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks.
Exactly right. Yeah. Hitting your listings twice a week is key, right? We prefer Mondays and Thursdays. That is our preference. That's what we train to. And that is, market update and tucking them in before the weekend with a plan, right? Market update, marketing. What are we doing? Right? Or any adjustments that need to be made and so forth. So price adjustment processes. The most important thing is a lot of us as entrepreneurs act very entrepreneurial. If we're not following a model, we're making it so much harder on ourselves.
Well, what happens is, yeah, if we're not following model and systems, then we're going out and maybe we're taking listings and maybe they sell, maybe they don't. And that whole process is going to be exhausting. It's going to burn us out. It's going to frustrate our sellers. And then we're going to remember why we like working with buyers. No, I'm just kidding. Buyers are fine. But the point is, right, we want to make sure we're setting proper expectations. We've got the right systems in place such that when we take a listing, number one, we have higher conversion on taking the listing and then higher conversion on selling that listing, making everybody happier, making us more money, and of course, increasing the opportunity for more referrals.
Exactly right. Yeah. And the reality is that there are fewer buyers out there in the market, right? Fewer deals are being done. There are fewer buyers. And I don't know about y'all, I would much rather play offense than defense. And that's what building a really, really strong listing business does. You're controlling the inventory, right? You're playing offense. That is scalable. That's how you take market share. That's how you stay, bulletproof your business is through that. One of the three things that we discussed in Aaron our mastermind that agents were really struggling with, and these are all agents that make over $150,000 a year, so they're all great agents. Their listing consult conversion has decreased.
Mhm.
They're struggling with seller servicing, having more active inventory, holding more listings, right? Those are costs too, because those are sign costs, those are lockbox costs. Like there's a lot of costs involved in that.
Emotional cost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exhaustion.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, and then the other one was the highest listing leads that are converting right now, right? And intake more listings now. We have our next free webinar September 10th, and we talk about exactly what lead levers to pull in order to take more listings. So expired, mailing, farming, right? How do you build lead funnels for an offensive play in business that's going to get you through these tough times? And if we go to the next slide. Yep. So we launch our Take More Listings Now and Convert Sellers to Closings. We'll send you all an email post this, as long as you approved us to send you an email with information on that. So
We're practicing our TCPA compliance.
that's exactly right. We practice
Yeah.
what we preach, Aaron.
There you go.
So if you were sitting there and you were like, man, I need to make more money. I'm not hitting my listing. I'm not signing enough listings every month in order to hit my closing goal. I have more listings on the market or my listings aren't selling. I'm fighting these sellers on price every single week. If you're acting entrepreneurially, I promise y'all, when you take our course, we give you the dialogues. Everything is templated. Everything is a system and a model. And Aaron, we have tons of people from our last launch that, I mean, crushing it.
Listen, I've got a great client that in the last 90 days has generated $93,000 in GCI just from one of the things that we talk about and Take More Listings Now.
Just one. Yeah.
Yeah. I have clients, right? Now, obviously, we love listings. I love price reductions. We already shared those metrics. And I told you that if there's anything you took, take those metrics and go use them. I've got a client, right, who put 8 of her 13 listings under contract in the last 60 days just using the metrics. I'll have to calculate her GCI. I haven't done that yet, but it's going to be exciting. And that was just money that was hanging out there because she was owning the market and it wasn't going very well. She was she was afraid that, she was showing up on the conversation, because she had owned it being wrong. And so therefore she wasn't having the price reduction conversation. The minute she had that framework to now put it on the market and off of her, 8 out of 13, no problem.
Yeah. And the last thing that we'll say on this is, if y'all, if as long as you show up, right, you attend trainings, y'all are learning based, or you wouldn't be on this call today. Fair? It's just, are we implementing what we learn? Are we taking our education and turning it into execution? Because when you do that, when you take the education and you execute, that's where you see it as an investment versus an expense. So we'd love to have y'all to partner with you and taking your unfair share, taking more listings and helping you and converting your sellers to closing such that you get checks, right? You're not the 3 out of 4 agents who have not made money this year. You are the change agent that's going to taking your unfair share, and 5 years from now your future self is going to thank you. Your kids, your families, your portfolio and wealth is going to thank you. So we will see you on September 10th and our Take More Listings Now, so y'all can get great notes from that.
See you, everybody.
Bye.